Welcome to the Story Grid Writer's Room podcast with Valerie Francis and Leslie Watts. This show is all about getting writers writing. There's a story inside of you that's trying to get out, and even though you love this stuff, sometimes it feels like you're banging your head against the wall. Well, the Story Grid method is like a decoder ring, and it will help you crack any story you can dream up. The hardest part is knowing where to start, but that's what we're here for. We've been where you are now, and we can help. Here on the show, we'll give you a practical approach to the Story Grid method so that you can put it to work. If you want to crack the story code, roll up your sleeves, and let's get started. Welcome to Season 2 of the Writer's Room podcast. My name is Valerie Francis. I am a Story Grid certified editor, and I'm also a writer. And I specialize in stories by, for, and about women.
And I'm Leslie Watts. I'm a Story Grid certified editor too, and I help fiction and nonfiction writers craft epic stories that matter.
Alrighty. In Season 1, we focused on scenes because scenes are the basic building blocks of story. Here in Season 2, we're going to switch it up a little bit because we want to. It's our show. When we did the roundtable 3 years ago, when we started that, we were studying a film a week, and we did the editor's 6 core questions for each of the films that we studied. And we did that because the first thing we need to do is get a macro view of a story and how a story works. Now, one of the most common questions that we got then, and I still get today, is can we do that for novels? So this season on the Writer's Room podcast, we're going to study one novel for the whole season, and we're doing a deep dive into every aspect of the macro view of the novel. And the book that we've chosen is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. It was published in 2012, I believe it was. Now, the reason we've picked this story, there's a couple of them. First of all, when Gone Girl was published, it really shifted the thriller. It was a big change in the literary landscape at the time. And it has now spawned a whole different type of thriller than we're used to. So we had Gone Girl followed immediately by The Girl on the Train. It was kind of like the 1-2 punch that solidified this type of psychological thriller. And because it is a psychological thriller, I'm particularly interested in it. And it's one of my masterworks because I'm also writing a psychological thriller. So we want to study it because it's definitely a masterwork, especially of contemporary literature, but also it's one of my masterworks. So I want to show you how, as a writer, I'm diving into a book that's in the genre that I'm writing in so that I can kind of model the behavior for you. You can see how I'm tackling it so that you can then pick up one of your masterworks and tackle it the same way. Leslie?
Yes. Okay. So we are going to break the season up into 6 episodes. And we're going to start episode 1 will be the editor's 6 core questions analysis. So we're going to discuss those just like we did on the first seasons of the Roundtable podcast. But of course, this time we have a novel. So then we're going to go quadrant by quadrant through the story. So we'll start with the beginning hook, the middle build 1, middle build 2, and ending payoff. So it's kind of like we take that last question of the editor's 6 core questions about the beginning hook, middle build, and ending payoff and explode it a bit. So we can look at what's happening in those quadrants. And of course, we're breaking up the middle build, which is a big lot of stuff, into 2 parts, as Sean has been doing lately. And we're going to look at the different levels of story within them. So action, what's happening on the surface, worldview, what's happening above the surface. And then we might even sneak some heroic journey stuff in there just for fun. So that's how the season will progress. And then we'll have one episode at the end to wrap it all up for a perfect 6 episodes, not corresponding specifically to the editor's 6 core questions.
So that means, because we're going to be doing a deep dive into one novel, that means we need to take a few weeks off so that we can read it and study it and prepare. It also means that you have a few weeks to read it and study it and prepare. So we will be back on December the 9th, 2020, with the first episode of the new season, the Editor's 6 Core Questions of Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So you've got plenty of time to give it a listen and follow along with us. And here on the Writer's Room, we're focusing on the macro view. And even now we're trying to really be careful that we don't run each episode into 2 or 3 hours because there's so much to say. So we're actually going to be doing an even deeper dive into the micro view of Gone Girl on the Unpodcast up that Leslie and I do for the subscribers of our mailing list. So if you're curious about the micro view down to the scene level, we might even pull out a paragraph and look at it if it's really exciting to us, or if there's something there in the language we want to look at. We'll be doing that on Up. All right. So we've got a few weeks now. Go get Gone Girl. And we're doing the novel, not the film. We did the film on the Roundtable. You can go listen to that episode if you don't want to read the book. We're going to read the novel of Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and we will see you back here December the 9th. And that wraps it up for this week. Remember, if you want to become a better writer, you've got to write, and you've got to read. Why not challenge yourself this week to take one of the ideas we talked about in the episode and use it in your work? To support the show, leave us a rating and review and tell your writer friends about us. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to see how we put story theory into practice, subscribe to the Unpodcast at valeriefrancis.ca/innercircle or writership.com. For show notes, blog posts, and information on the Story Grid courses and guild, visit storygrid.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.